U.S. citizens raided in their own home. DHS employees forced out of long-standing union spaces. Congresswoman Veronica Escobar doesn't hold back. She grills Secretary Kristi Noem, demanding answers on ICE abuses, due process, and government overreach. What happens when enforcement crosses the line, and who protects ordinary Americans? Stay tuned.
Madam Secretary, I have a question related to something more close to home for me in the community in El Paso with DHS employees. For decades, CBP employees who work at our land ports of entry have been contractually allowed by CBP to have an off-site location for their union. And this off-site location is completely funded by union dues, not by taxpayer money. And again, this was something agreed to in their contract. I was shocked and alarmed to learn that they were told by DHS they could no longer be off-site, and they were forced to come into a DHS facility in El Paso. It's a conference room, media training room. So that part of their contract, that longstanding agreement, was violated in my eyes. Are you aware of this at all?
I have heard about it, but I don't know the details of that agreement, so I can follow up with you and get that back to you. And if you would lay out the concerns for being co-located, I think that would be fantastic for me to know.
We will. We'll make sure to communicate with your team. Would love to work with you on this. The same has not been true for the Border Patrol Union. So there's disparate treatment, and additionally, just to very quickly lay out why it's important for union members to be able to speak to their union leaders in private, and being located in a small conference room, media training room, offers no privacy. There are other issues, but I look forward to working with you on that.
I do know that, the difference in the two unions is important, and I'll look into how those were interpreted. And I also know that the one union is located under the Treasury Union as well, and that defines some requirements and for how it's regulated and set out going forward. So I'll see if that is the determining factor on why there was a difference in how the locations were determined.
And I would ask, Madam Secretary, that you please allow the El Paso Union to continue to be housed off-site. It is their preference, doesn't impact the budget or appropriations. They pay for it. So I don't see a reason why this long-standing, decades-long situation should be changed. So would ask for your support for that, please.
I'll look into it.
Okay, perfect. I also wanted to ask you about this NBC News story, and I'll enter into the record this article as well. U.S. citizen family traumatized after ICE raided their Oklahoma home in search of someone else. And according to the local affiliate, KFOR, which was reporting on this story, immigration agents raided the home last week. They had a search warrant for the home, but the suspects listed on the warrant were no longer living in the home. The family was forced to wait outside in the rain during the search. A mother and her girls, all U.S. citizens. Their money was taken, their laptop, their cell phone. I asked you at the top of our first round if you believed it was important for DHS, and if you would attest to the fact that DHS needs to rectify any mistakes. If this were a mistake, will you ensure that this family, this U.S. citizen family, gets its property back in a timely manner?
Well, in that particular situation, the warrant for that situation was on the house and the facility, not on the individuals that were there. And so that house was being used for human smuggling. And so those operations were conducted against the facility. And even in that situation, there was some individuals there with the same last names and some of the similarities.
But if it were a mistake, Madam Secretary,
we believe everything was done appropriately, and we'll continue to make sure that it is done and handled appropriately.
All right. Well, appreciate you looking into it. Not my constituents, but you had mentioned in your testimony, and you've said previously, that the focus of your agency is to go after the worst of the worst, people who are here illegally. But we have seen reporting and spoken to individuals, we meaning Congress, that in fact there have been abuses on that front. People with legal protections have been deported. I laid out in the first round U.S. citizen children. I don't know, and I asked, and you said you'd get back to me about whether parents actually filled out the ICE forms that are normally used for those processes. U.S. citizen families with nothing to do with human trafficking, and now DHS employees as well, in my view, have been subjected to an abuse of power. And we all swore an oath to the Constitution. This is a democratic republic. Rule of law is important, due process is important, and ultimately that will be my North Star, not just in this hearing, but throughout everything that I work on as a member of Congress. I thank you, Madam Secretary, and Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
In this intense exchange, Congresswoman Veronica Escobar put Secretary Kristi Noem under the spotlight over a series of troubling ICE operations, highlighting a deeper issue about accountability and due process in federal enforcement actions. Escobar begins by raising concerns about DHS employees in El Paso who for decades have had access to an off-site union location funded entirely by union dues. This arrangement wasn't a perk, it was a contractual right, established to ensure workers could communicate with union leadership in privacy and without interference. Suddenly, DHS changed the rules, forcing these employees into a small conference room inside a DHS facility. Escobar's questions underline the significance of respecting agreements and labor rights, and she presses Noem for clarity on why this sudden shift occurred. The dialogue isn't just about logistics, it's about whether federal authorities are honoring their obligations to employees and the contracts they've signed, which can impact morale, efficiency, and legal compliance. Escobar then pivots to a much more severe concern, the raid on the Oklahoma home of U.S. citizens. According to reporting, ICE agents executed a search warrant at a residence where the targets of the investigation were no longer living. The family, including a mother and her children, all U.S. citizens, was forced to wait outside in the rain while their property, including electronics and personal belongings, was seized. Escobar's questioning goes beyond the immediate facts. She challenges Noem to account for the human impact of enforcement actions. It's a reminder that law enforcement, even at the federal level, must balance operational objectives with the constitutional rights of citizens. Due process isn't just a legal concept, it's about protecting people from undue harm, ensuring that mistakes aren't repeated, and maintaining trust between the government and the communities it serves. Noem responds by framing the operation as a legitimate action against a facility used for human smuggling, noting that the warrant applied to the location rather than the individuals present. While procedural justifications are important, Escobar's insistence on tangible accountability presses the point that government agencies cannot rely solely on bureaucratic defenses when the real-world consequences of their actions are so severe. She emphasizes that these incidents are not isolated, but part of a broader pattern where legal protections may be overlooked, including for DHS employees themselves. By invoking the oath to the Constitution and stressing the principles of due process and the rule of law, Escobar contextualizes these questions in terms of core democratic values, reminding viewers that oversight isn't just procedural, it's essential for protecting citizens and ensuring governmental integrity. For viewers, this hearing illustrates the delicate balance between enforcing laws and safeguarding constitutional rights. It also highlights the practical consequences of federal policy decisions: families traumatized, property taken, and trust in government eroded. Escobar's approach demonstrates how legislators can hold executives accountable, probe systemic issues, and advocate for the rights of everyday Americans. It's a teachable moment about civic engagement, oversight, and the importance of asking tough questions in government hearings. This exchange also underscores a larger lesson. Even well-intentioned enforcement policies can go wrong without rigorous oversight, clear protocols, and respect for human rights. Watching how Escobar navigates the conversation provides insight into congressional oversight processes, the importance of questioning authority, and how democratic systems are designed to protect citizens from overreach. If you want to stay informed about these critical government hearings, learn more about how federal agencies operate, and understand the impact of their decisions on everyday lives, make sure you subscribe, turn on notifications, and join us as we unpack these hearings with clarity, context, and depth.